Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to BlizzCon 2010 live from Anaheim, California. The Starcraft 2 tournament has been going on all day yesterday and today, and now we are about to go into the grand finals between Loner and NEXGenius. Second place, $10,000. First place, $25,000. Are you just as excited as I am? Get ready! Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Military research facility.
She's come to finish the job.
Hello, BlizzCon 2010. Welcome, Starcraft 2 fans from all over the world. We are in the finals of what has been the greatest worldwide tournament ever.
Of all time. I can't wait to catch these finals. Me and my voice box are very excited right now. Sean, how are you feeling?
Dude, I'm so pumped because not only is this really the two best players in the tournament, but it is also a rematch from their winners bracket round, so we really get to see who will be able to, pull through and win this for $25,000.
And that was a really great match that we already saw. Loner barely pulled it out 2-1. It really looked like NEXGenius would win. But here we are, the finals. It is Korea against China. What do you think, Tasteless? Who's going to take it?
Well, both these guys play in the tournament that we do in Korea, the GSL, and both of them have been performing very well. Loner, he was kind of a dark horse starting off, and he's been doing solid. He's easily the best player in China. If I had to pick a favorite, I'd pick Loner. But then again, NEXGenius, all the Koreans are saying this guy is easily one of the best Protosses out there.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, NEXGenius, not only is he just such a good player, but he has also had one game on the main stage, so he has the chance to calm down a little bit, get in the zone. Loner, I think this is his fourth or fifth match on the main stage, so he's no stranger to the lights and the cheers of the crowd. Personally, I want NEXGenius at the very least to win the first best of three, so that way we can go into a second best of three, because who doesn't love more games?
Well, that would be superb. And, well, before we talk too much about the players, let's take a look at the 16 faces of the StarCraft 2 tournament that made this competition so special. Well, it is time to talk about Loner against NEXGenius. Let's start off with Loner. Tasteless, what can you tell us about this amazing Chinese player?
He's pretty amazing. He knocked me out of a tournament in Shanghai, which kind of sucks. But he's really, really talented. And his early game isn't the best, but his mid game is so solid that it seems like even if he gets behind, he can always manage to just win with solid macro or the ability to control the economics of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Loner is an absolute master of the mid-game. His ability to control his units, to stretch them for every little bit of value is phenomenal. In fact, in a lot of the games of his that we casted, he would come out in a terrible, terrible position at the start of the game and would just slowly pull forward. His opponent wouldn't make some sort of goofy mistake. He wouldn't get lucky. He would force the game ahead just by those basic fundamentals, building a lot of stuff and just controlling it very, very well.
You know, Loner is always a player that tells me, you know, I'm very nervous. I don't think I can do it on stage, but we're all going to look back, I think, in a couple years and say, BlizzCon 2010, that is where Loner came out of his shell and really became a top contender.
Absolutely.
Any of you guys think Loner can win this?
Well, NEXGenius, though, he's pretty good, Day 9.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that NEXGenius has to make sure he doesn't do is get a little bit overeager with that expansion timing of his. So often he tries to get away with a little bit too much, and that was his weakness against Loner. However, similar to Loner, once he gets to the mid-game, he has such amazing comfort and just seems to just keep getting more upgrades, more units than your average Protoss bear.
Yeah, I got to say, NEXGenius, all the Koreans, and we play with a lot of Koreans because we both live in Seoul, they all talk about NEXGenius. They just say he's so scary to play against. I've never personally fought NEXGenius in a game of StarCraft, but I've heard nothing but the best.
Well, you know, NEXGenius was on a Korean StarCraft 1 pro team. He was playing 12 hours a day, playing matches on television. So he is very experienced. Just as we've seen Loner playing so many matches, NEXGenius has played even more than that. So this is an unreal finals. I can't believe it. It is time, Tasteless. Are the players ready?
The players are ready. Is the audience ready?
Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like Loner to take this series, he only has to win one best of 3. Give a cheer to your favorite Chinese Terran. And of course, if any of you would like NEXGenius, the mastermind Protoss from South Korea, to win, give a cheer. First map on Scrap Station. Artosis, what are your thoughts on how the players will be opening?
Well, on Scrap Station, there's a lot of room for harassment. We see Terran players open oftentimes with Banshees, sometimes with medevac dropships, and this really makes Protoss run around trying to cover his behind.
Speaking of which, we got the Protoss over here at the north. He's going to be basically controlling this. If you can follow my mouse on the mini-map here, this region of the map is basically going to be his turf. Down here in the blue is Loner. In this region over here, this is where he is going to be fighting for. Now, we got to go into depth about the map before we can really talk too much more about the players and the strategies. There's an island here that they share, which can play a huge role if you take that and your opponent doesn't scout it. Also, their natural expansion, or in other words, the expansion they're most likely to take is right here. As you can see, over here at the ramp, that's where they go from there. Destructible rocks play a huge role on this map. As you can see, you can actually make a pathway right to your opponent's base if you want to.
Absolutely. I mean, noting the map is such a huge role. It would be like if we played a game of chess and just removed one of the squares from the center of the board. Would absolutely change the dynamics of gameplay. So on this map, basic concept, very long distances at the start by ground, but very short distances by air. However, there is a special path in the middle with destructible debris. If you knock that down later on in the game, it becomes very tense because you have a shortcut to your opponent's base, and it looks like NEXGenius is sending out a scout probe to see exactly what his opponent is up to.
By the way, if you guys can look at the top left side of the screen, you can see what the APM is of the game, or in other words, the actions per minute. If you're unfamiliar with StarCraft or StarCraft 2, this is a game that requires, in my own personal opinion, more skill than any other game out there. Most pro gamers have 300, literally 300 actions per minute. You can see right now, currently, our red player right at 300 actually, Loner at about 235. That'll probably pick up as the game progresses.
That's right, and that's the type of speed you need, because in this economy-based game, you have to be aware of everything. If he's trying to attack your economy, the blue mineral area, then you need to defend it. At the same time, you could be attacking 2, 3 other spots. You also have to be spending everything, scouting the map. There's just so much to do that any player of this caliber really needs to be doing at least 250 to 300 different things every minute.
Now, it looks like NEXGenius is taking his second gas geyser relatively quickly in his main. That does mean he will be teching up a little bit more quickly, will not be going for a little bit faster of an expansion. And meanwhile, in the Terran base, in Loner's base, he's doing a relatively normal opening. Oh no, the probe in the base does manage to sneak in, so that does mean NEXGenius knows exactly what his opponent is doing, doesn't have to do any guesswork, can prepare directly for what he sees.
And, well, we see that Loner is going for 2 barracks. This means he's going to put on at least some pressure early and try to, you know, really mess with NEXGenius's game plan. But NEXGenius has scouted this, and that is so important. Loner has killed the probe, so now he can go ahead and tech more if he likes. But at the same time, NEXGenius, he got more information than he really should have there.
We do see Warp Gate being researched. Warp Gate, very common to get early on as Protoss. That way you can warp in your units. Basically allows you to get units faster in any location where pylons are.
And it looks like NEXGenius is playing super safe mode, opting to get that very fast robotics facility that will allow him to get an observer, a cloaked unit that can only look around, but again, because it is invisible, it allows you a complete total knowledge of what your opponent is doing.
And at the same time, throwing up another gateway, so he's going to be pretty unit heavy early on. He wants to make sure he will not die to this attack, and what is this here? It is a command center, and this means that Loner is getting ready to expand to another mineral patch area.
Looks like he's probably going to expand down here. The command center can float, so of course he can move it down here pretty easily. And by the way, scouting SCV. Stop moving for a second, but if he gets up here.
No. Oh, that was very nice positioning there by that sentry. Just put the sentry directly in front of the SCV to block it, so that way he could pick it off again, because scouting is so essential. He needed to deny that scout and did it quite marvelously.
And as we saw here, he did not get vision of the Robo, so he's in the dark right now. He has no idea what the Protoss player is doing.
Yeah, and that's a problem. But he has made a Reaper, which I believe is moving right through the map. No, that's an SCV, but I promise you he does have a Reaper somewhere. And he definitely is going to want to scout with that at some point.
Yeah, he was starting that Reaper earlier on. Don't know exactly where it went. Perhaps just ended up canceling it at a later part of the game. Because again, because scouting's so key, if you see something, sometimes you can back up and cancel units, and another scout does end up getting taken down. But it looks like Loner is playing this out extremely safely. We see a bunker being planted down at the front of his base. That's really only there to really defend against his own fears, because I can tell you right now, there's absolutely nothing coming. This does go to show you how big of a factor nerves are in this competition.
But NEXGenius, he is prepared. You see the observer there floating up to the Terran base. It's an invisible unit designed to scout what's going on. And look at that. He sees exactly how many units are there. He sees the command center, realizes he's safe, and, well, now he knows that his new expansion that he's making, the Nexus, is going to get up safely.
So it looks like both players are just playing very calmly at this point in time. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Both these players are very talented. They want the game to go on longer. The longer the game is, the more decisions there are, and on average, the better decisions they will make because they are so good. So that's the comfort zone of the expert player, and we can see them both gearing up for their upcoming expansions. Loner continuing to just build units off 3 barracks, scouting SCV, heading up into the base. Again, this is, what, the 3rd or 4th SCV?
Now remember, he has no idea. Let me click on a Terran unit so I can show you the vision. He does not see this expansion. He never saw the Robo. He really has absolutely no idea what his opponent's doing. This is really bad for our Chinese player, Loner.
Loner is playing very blind right now, and that's why we've seen him make some bunkers, some defensive structures, make a lot of units. He's even made a turret, as you can see on the map right there. That'll detect any invisible units that may have caught him off guard before. So he's throwing his net wide, trying to catch anything that NEXGenius could do.
And really, the best way to punish a player who's playing too safe is to just keep expanding. And it looks like Loner, is starting to attack those destructible rocks in the center of the map, creating a whole bunch of noise. You can even feel the bass on the stage out here. That is a great way to open up an attack path for the later stages of the game. It starts off very long, but it's going to end up very, very close spots.
Now we see a Colossus is making for our Protoss player NEXGenius, and this is the unit of the game right here. This is the most important unit that's going to come on the map. It does a lot of splash damage to tightly compacted units, such as the Marines and the Marauders that you see here. Look how close together they are. You can just do so much damage to them with the Colossus, so NEXGenius is going to have to keep his Colossuses alive and be able to destroy the army of Loner with them.
So as we can see, the Terran's got an expansion up. You know, there's something very strange about Loner's playstyle. You notice he attacked the rocks, stopped, moved out here, then walked back up to here. I feel like nerves are starting to kick in here for Loner.
You know, I don't exactly mind that play too much, because what's great about little moves like that is it freaks your opponent out. And I don't mean you just want him to feel scared. He will respond incorrectly in the game. He'll make a few more units. He will cut a probe or two, maybe forget an extra pylon. And if Loner was never intending to attack in the first place, it's a great way to get a little bit of extra value out of his existing units.
You know, that's right. Mind games are one of the biggest parts of professional StarCraft. You can really trick your opponent out into doing things he shouldn't do otherwise.
Looks like both players are just continuing to macro up. Again, that is the ability to make lots and lots of units.